create a presidential exploratory committee. For the next several weeks, I'm going to talk with people from around the country.
There's going to be one decision you'll have if you're left here. If you're faced with the decision to take a mark that's talked in Revelation 13, I think, Revelation 13, 17, the mark of the beast, in your right arm, right hand, or your forehead. If you make the decision to take it, it will be the last decision you will ever be in control of.
It's Cyber Monday, a day on the retail calendar that can be enjoyed from a desk or the couch.
Enjoyed from a desk or a couch.
Enjoyed from a desk or maybe the couch.
Enjoyed from a desk or the couch.
Enjoyed from a desk or the couch.
If you take the mark and you say, I'll take the mark of the beast, you will never have control over another decision. You'll never be able to cut it out. You won't be able to chisel it out, cut your arm off, say, I figured a way I'd get around it. No.
It's torture every single day.
From a desk or your couch. From the desk or the couch. From your desk or the couch.
From a desk or the couch.
Now, I'm going to share with you something that just absolutely, when I read it last night, it blew my mind. It didn't surprise me. I want to make that clear. It didn't surprise me, but it did blow my mind that the things that the Word talks about are beginning even more so to come to the forefront, and they're being seen very, very clearly. And that is that I came across an article where there are pastors out there today that are supporting the RFID chipping, and they are saying that there is nothing wrong with it and that it has nothing to do with the Revelation mark of the beast. That it's something that their congregations, and when I say this, I'm talking about Christian churches with pastors that are not for the people or his people, but they are for themselves, their dollars, and what they want to do. And they are saying that there is absolutely nothing wrong with RFID chipping and are encouraging others in their congregation to willingly take this chip. Well, I don't know for sure if RFID chipping is the mark of the beast, but there is evidence in Revelation to support that it sounds awful close. And even if it just sounds awful close, that's too close for me. And that I'm going to do what the Word says and what the Most High says before I believe what man tells me I should do. I want you to take a listen to this article that I'm going to share with you. And within the article, I'm going to give you the link down below. There are videos embedded in the article that I suggest that you take a look at, and it gives you more further evidence that what we are coming to, ladies and gentlemen, is a time where there is going to be a very, very distinct decision that needs to be made. And I'm going to quote this exactly as the Bible says, is that we ought to obey God rather than man. And then the distinct camps are going to be those that are going to obey the Most High, or those on the other side that are going to obey what they believe and they think should be done. I think I'm going to stand on the side of the one that created all and the one that has the power of life and death in his hand, and eternal life and eternal damnation in his power.
It's torture every single day.
Thank you for coming. My name is Jesse Belton. I'm a retired Sacramento City firefighter paramedic. And basically what we're going to be doing today is what is called radio frequency scanning. So I'm going to go ahead and explain how it works. Okay, there's 3 phases to this. There's a preliminary scan, and what that is we check for radio frequency emissions utilizing what is called the JM20 Pro radio frequency detector. And if you come up positive on that, we'll use a frequency counter, which will give us the frequency that it is picking up or emitting up. Okay. So phase 2 requires this. If you come up positive on the scan, you're still going to need the medical imaging. So you're going to have to obtain an X-ray, an MRI, or a CT, depending on what. But most of the time, you probably only need an X-ray, which is very affordable. It's about between $60 and $80. Okay, and we can help you, guide you to where you need to go to get that done. Okay, but that's the part that needs to happen on phase 2. Phase 3 is we need to go in a controlled environment and do further testing, so that when we go to court, we can say we're 100% absolutely positive that this person, this human being, is emitting an RF frequency. And the purpose here is to give you evidence. Okay. Because if you want doctors, anyone in the medical field, the scientific community, or the law enforcement, or even those in politics, or those in positions of power, even pastors, for example, you really need evidence. Because if you go and tell them the story, it's just a story to them. Okay? And they're going to think you're nuts. That's the bottom line. I hate saying that, but that's the truth. And that's what those who are doing this to us want to have. They want us all to be labeled crazy, so you lose all rights. Okay? No.
The following are the results of our tour when we started our radio frequency scanning across America in Sacramento, California. Here are some test results that came up positive of victims of domestic terrorism. This is Christopher, 5 years old. Positive in his left shoulder area. He also came up positive in his right scapula area. His father states this was done to him in a dental office when he received a shot. Our next victim, who came up positive for domestic terrorism, is Bonnie Kellerby. Bonnie has been a victim for over a decade. She came up positive for RF transmission in her right TMJ. In addition, she came up positive near her left TMJ. She also tested positive for RF transmission on her left and right shoulder region. The following who came up positive is David Gonzalez. David came up positive in his right shoulder region.
This is an article by John T. Brugge, PhD, and Mary Frams, PhD, of the Wyoming Institute of Technology Human Studies Division. The abstract states, radio frequency identification RFID chips have been used extensively in wildlife ecology and conservation to identify and track individual specimens in a population. It's been unknown, however, how often RFID chips have been implanted in human populations for the tracking and identification of individuals. This study analyzes the prevalence of RFID chip in 3 geographically discrete populations and found that on average, that's populations in the USA, on average 1 in 3 individuals carried an RFID chip. Interestingly, there was a strong correlation with RFID chip presence and prevalent dental work. The populations, 3 discrete human populations defined by geographic location, were assessed for the presence of RFID chips Populations Midwest containing 958 individuals from Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin. Population Northeast contains 987 from Maine, Rhode Island, and New Jersey. Population Southwest contains 1,010 individuals from Arizona and Nevada. The volunteers were recruited using standard methods and compensated in a manner consistent with industry standards. All test subjects were treated in compliance with the institutional codes of ethics and standards. So they took a random sample of individuals, of volunteered individuals who didn't even know they had RFID chips implanted in them. And throughout the whole of the United States, basically it's about the same. Average 33% of the population was found to have been implanted without their knowledge of it.
Implantable human chips. Supporters hail the technology as a medical marvel, but critics warn that the potential risks are real.
Well, they talked about, for example, electrical hazards. This thing is by no means inert. The way it works is it actually picks up and amplifies ambient electromagnetic energy from the reader devices. And if you have one of these things in your arm and you get within range of a powerful electromagnetic field, it can actually burn you.
Oh, and by the way, it can kill you if you get out of line. A closer look at the who and the why behind this idea.
Hundreds of people calling you, blowing up your beeper, vibrating it in your flash, invading your privacy rights to your own body. You're followed and tortured everywhere you go. You travel all over town trying to get somebody to help you get it out. And it's torture every single day.
Right now, there's a lot of companies getting involved in research for RFID technology. They obviously sense something in the air, and I think a lot of them know that we're heading towards a cashless society. Check this out. You can see proof of this all around you. There's always some new technology coming out, and it's interesting the way they slowly bleed it into the public. They make it popular. Lollapalooza, huge concert event, right? Well, this is a great example as well. And of course, we shouldn't be surprised that Disney's involved as well. And it's interesting because it turns out that a lot of these festivals coming out that many of us do research on, we find a lot of so-called Illuminati symbolism or New Age symbolism, this Antichrist system type symbolism. A lot of these events are also going to an RFID technology as well. Check it out. So keeping all of this in mind and understanding there's a lot of companies out there right now that are really researching RFID and already releasing a lot of things to the public. I want to show you a really creepy commercial from a real company and something that they've developed. I'll let it play out, but I thought it was really interesting because even in this commercial for this RFID technology that many of us believe is going to ultimately lead to what's called the mark of the beast in the Bible. Now, however that's going to play out, I don't know. But this is definitely a theory that's out there, and it's something to keep an eye on. That whole transhumanism agenda is tied in with this stuff as well. So the point is that someday we may actually have to face this choice. Do you take the mark or not? Do you take the chip or not? And I thought it was interesting, again, when dealing with this subject, this technology that could ultimately lead to the mark of the beast. In this commercial, we find the Illuminati pyramid, or at least pyramids. And the confirmation of that is you'll find another symbol near the end of the commercial, and I'll just let you check that out. And away we go.
Decision you'll, if you're left here, if you're faced with the decision to take a mark that's talked in Revelation 13, I think, Revelation 13, 17, the mark of the beast, in your right arm, right hand, or your forehead. If you make the decision to take it, it will be the last decision you will ever be in control of.
It's torture every single day.
From a desk or your couch, from the desk or the couch, from your desk or the couch.
From a desk or the couch.
The individuals tested were subjected to full-body RFID chips scanning using previously detailed protocols of the study. Test subjects were scanned either in the nude or in minimal undergarments to avoid interference. The results showed that in total, 997 RFID positive individuals were identified out of the 2,955 individuals screened. So this corresponds to roughly 1 in 3 individuals screened. There's some figures here if you'd like to, some diagrams if you'd like to see them. Individual frequency by region can be seen in figure 2, it says. It's again, it's almost 1 in 3. Additional tooth fillings were identified as a predominant location for RFID chips. 57% of RFID chips were identified located in the tooth fillings. RFID additional locations and their prevalence can be seen in figure 3. So most people, about 57% over, that's over half of the people that have been found with RFID chips implanted in them without their knowledge or approval, of course, had them placed in their tooth fillings. And in figure 3 of the diagram, it shows RFID chip locations, besides being in the tooth filling, are in the hand, also in the artificial hip, a very large percentage, artificial knee, a very large percentage, implanted screw, maybe if somebody wanted to have a tooth implantation, they have a screw that's implanted into the jawbone. So that's the implanted screw. And implanted birth control. That also has an RFID. What a strange thing in the birth control. So the conclusion states, our work has shown that approximately 1 in 3 individuals in the United States is carrying an RFID microchip. Our sample size was sufficiently large. The number was 2,955 individuals tested and was spread throughout 3 distinct geographic regions of the United States. Thus, we are comfortable extrapolating our finding to the broader American population. So if the population of the United States is over 300 million, that means that over 100 million Americans are chipped already, and they don't even know it. And here they are claiming, "Oh, we're Christians. We're not going to accept the RFID chip." Well, we already have it. Most of us have had fillings. Intriguing, the most frequently identified location, the article goes on to say, for an RFID microchip was in tooth fillings. This is contrary to popular held belief that the RFID chips are inserted in the dorsal of the hand near the thumb, meaning the top of the palm, not the inside of the palm. It's the top. That's not the way they do it. They're hiding it. They're hiding it, and doctors are part of their scheme. More investigation is required to understand the significance of this finding, it goes on to say. So here we are. We have the evidence that most people in the United States have been microchipped without their knowledge or authorization. Now, the next thing we have to do is ask ourselves, why was this done? Why did the physicians, surgeons, dentists, all of them who have taken a Hippocratic oath of Hippocrates, stating that they would always have the mind in mind and their intention, the health of their patient? Why would they do such a thing contrary to their oath, contrary to the laws of the land, and risk the health of their patients? Because these things, of course, can be poisonous. We already know that tooth fillings may be causing may be toxic to their patients and a health hazard. But, all right, we don't know why they did it. They're obviously part of somebody's scheme. The next thing we have to do is go and test ourselves to find out if we do have an RFID implanted in us. And I'm sure that a third of us will find that we do have. Most of us have had fillings. Others have had screws embedded teeth. Okay, so therefore we've had screws put into our jaws. Others have had broken legs and perhaps some kind of a metal implant that has remained there until we pass this phase of our physical existence. We'll be buried with those metal pieces with us in our skeleton. Others have had hip and knee replacements. How are you going to get those microchips out of you? It will be physically impossible for most people to do that. And they've done it without our knowledge. Now, what is on those microchips? What do those microchips contain? We already know that they can alter our moods by electromagnetic pulses being emitted by them. We already know that they can alter our heart rate. We already know that they can alter our mind. They are capable of mind control, besides the fact that people can trace us wherever we are on the face of the earth. And they can also excrete various types of hormones into our system. We've already seen that with the Bill Gates contraceptive microchip that he's going to be testing this year and putting on sale as of 2018. And then last but not least, people have to find out if they have them and go and sue their physicians. Go and sue them. Don't let them get away with this. So I'll leave a link below for you for this article.
Our next victim is Richard Northern. Richard Northern has been a victim for over 20 years. Richard Northern came up positive for RF transmission near his left TMJ area. This is Barbara. Barbara flew in from out of the country to have an RF scan. Barbara has been tortured over the years in many, many ways, what most women call a silent rape. She came up positive in her lower lumbar, her lower back area. She can pinpoint with needlepoint accuracy where she believes an implant is, and you can see by our RF testing it comes up positive. Another area that Barbara complained with pinpoint accuracy was the back of her neck, and sure enough we came up with positive radio frequency emission in our preliminary scan.
In Europe, we started the testing tour in the German capital, Berlin, where I met up with the Swedish lawyer Dr. Henning Witte, who was going to interview the victims while I was doing the testing. The first person tested was Waldemar. He tested positive in both sides in the TMJ area.
Und jetzt ein bisschen weg davon. Ja. Noch tiefer. Von der Antenne weg.
Next up was Monica. Monica tested positive in her right TMJ area.
Zur Antenne wieder hin. Und die Antenne weg. Ja, zur Antenne wieder hin. Sieht man das auf dem... Ja. Ist da was? Ja.
Here I'm testing Gisela. Gisela came up positive in the TMJ area on both sides.
Sieht man das?
Man hört es vor allem, jetzt sieht man es auch, ja. Das ist eindeutig.
She also came up positive in her lower back. I tested both Gisela's children and they both came up positive.
Enjoyed from the desk or even the couch.
Enjoyed from a desk or the couch.
From a desk or the couch.
From a desk or the couch.
From a desk or a couch.
All right, this next story may sound like something out of, well, a Hollywood thriller. A Saudi inventor has created a killer microchip. It's designed to track terrorists and criminals and, well, you can think of somebody. Not only does it include a GPS device, it also has a lethal dose of cyanide, which can be activated at any time. You get my point? The inventor's bid for a patent has been rejected in Germany. Joining us now this morning to talk about it, Jake Ward, deputy.
It's torture every single day.
Their chip has been approved by the FDA as a Class 2 medical device in order to identify high-risk patients in an emergency situation. It's elective, it's voluntary, and it is certainly critical to the evolution of information technology in healthcare.
Oh, go ahead.
You have one in your arm right now.
That's correct.
Where is it?
It's in the upper right arm. It's a simple injection process, just like getting a shot of penicillin.
Is it painful?
Not at all. They numb the area slightly. You don't feel it. They put a Band-Aid on it. Within 2 days, you don't even know it's there.
But instead, you feel the shocking pains from the tip of your spine to the bottom of your feet. It's like a grounding effect. Blurred vision, headaches, stomach pains, cramps, muscle spasm, uncontrolled blood pressure issues on 2 or 3 blood pressure pills, fatigue, stinging and burning skin, loss of concentration, ringing in your ears, heat sensation to the skin from the scanning devices, frictions of the vibrations that's going on with somebody calling and dialing, and this thing is working constantly in your flesh. It's torture every single day.
Can we, I don't know, did you get a good shot of this, Peter, the chip? I don't know how tight you can get on it, but these are small, and you've got a scanner with you right now.
That's correct.
Right?
This is the passive scanner.
the critics would say, and I listened to it, and I'm trying to figure it out, but they use the they word a lot. Is there a vast RFID conspiracy out there that is they would say this is a slippery slope. This is the first thing. This is where you lull us into a false sense of security. We all get these things. And then the next thing you know, I don't know, it's
making
like
Soylent Green.
Like the Trilateral Commission, or the whole world gets taken over, like in Terminator 3 or something. Is anything? I mean, do we need to worry?
There's no conspiracy, Joe.
You sure?
I'm sure.
I'm looking at you.
I
saw your eyebrow. It twitches when you say that a little bit.
And I'm looking back at you.
Come off?
And let me say this. As far as the RFID industry is concerned.
You're looking at a microchipped bee. The CSIRO is using them to track the insect's movements. The devices are tiny, and they are all around you in their billions. Chances are you're carrying a couple of RFID microchips now, and if you are, they're sending out a 15-digit number that identifies you. That number can be picked up by what's called an ISO compliant scanner, and they're everywhere too. The chips are embedded in credit cards, MyKey cards, and the swipe cards that let people into their office buildings. They're used to track manufactured goods in factories and stores, identify livestock and lost pets. And now RFID microchips like this are being injected into humans. Dr. Mark Gasson of the University of Reading in England was injected with one in 2009 to control electronic devices in his office. He later became the first human in history to be infected with a computer virus.
When the systems read my tags, the computer virus has actually appeared throughout the whole database. So it's actually replicated itself and copied it throughout the database.
It's torture every single day.
The microchip implants are coated with a biocompatible material that enables them to bond with the surrounding flesh and sinew. That keeps them in place, but makes their surgical removal difficult and painful. Companies in America have marketed human microchips for security or medical purposes, but most microchipped humans are amateurs who have injected themselves or who have convinced their family doctor to do it for them. They call themselves biohackers, and they use the chips to open doors or unlock their cars, phones and computers with a simple wave of their hand. Some biohackers go even further by also injecting themselves with self-made devices that enable them to pick up electromagnetic waves.
I want to see if I can't make the human evolve faster than what nature has allowed it to be.
The editor of Popular Science. Okay, this is pretty macabre, pretty sinister and nefarious. How exactly would this work?
Well, there's a category of technology that involves GPS tracking systems being shrunk down to the size where you could actually implant it surgically. And we've seen a number of applications for this. This is without question the most sinister version of it that I've certainly heard of. You know, and the notion of tracking criminals is not new, but the notion of killing them remotely, I think, is a whole new thing.
Yeah, and Germany says, look, we're not going to approve this.
That's
because for that very purpose. And apparently, in some of the paperwork in applying for the patent, you know, you could track fugitives from justice, terrorists, illegal immigrants, criminals, political opponents, defectors, and Saudi Arabians who don't return home from pilgrimage. It's a little bit wild.
I agree. I mean, the thing about you know, this kind of patent is Germany has very tight laws about making sure that you're not registering something that really is just a bad idea, a scary idea. And in this case, this guy obviously has some very strong feelings about what it would be used for, but it just seems a little outlandish.
Yeah. Well, terrorist groups might be interested. I'm sure they'd be happy to grant their own form of a patent for that.
Sure.
It's torture every single day.
From a desk or a couch?
From your desk or the couch?
From a desk or the couch?
From a desk or couch?
From a desk or the couch?
Anyone who takes the mark is immediately thrown into the lake of fire. There's no grace. There's no mercy. It's just, you've got the mark, bam, you're in a lake of fire.
If you pledge allegiance to the Antichrist, you will be eternally damned according to the Bible.
In medical news tonight, a chip the size of a grain of rice could save your life.
I've just been chipped myself. It's not a painless process, but it doesn't last too long, not too difficult, minor surgical procedure.
New microchip technology now makes it possible for the emergency room staff to find out about your medical history at the touch of a computer key.
At some point, we're all going to have RFIDs. It might be even in our fingers, where they require it with everything on it.
Instead of carrying credit cards or money, we will probably be implanted with chips.
And now RFID microchips like this are being injected into humans.
I'm sorry, sir, did you just say you would get one implanted in your arm?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Our driver's license will be on the RFID chip. Our credit card number, all our information will be on this one chip.
The chip is encased in unbreakable glass and is about the size of a grain of rice. The procedure is done with anesthesia and is relatively pain-free.
It felt pretty scary, but at the same time it felt very modern, very 2015.
Science is now challenging the very idea of what it means to be human. British cybernetics professor Kevin Warwick has an electronic device in his body that interfaces with his nervous system and is now working on implants that will enable humans to communicate just by thinking.
It will be brain to brain. That's the next step. That's what I'm working on now. Thought communication.
Having an electronic implant might seem too painful or weird to even contemplate, but scientists like Warwick and Gasson say that view will change dramatically. Forget mobile phones. Your children and grandchildren may well want an implant instead.
It's not possible to interact in society in a meaningful way by not having a mobile phone. I think human implants are likely to go along a very similar route. It would be such a disadvantage to not have the implant that it essentially becomes not optional.
Everyone will have a unique 12-digit identity number.
If hospitals purchase this detection equipment, the system will most likely start to include more and more people in those communities who will want the chips.
Wow. Interesting stuff. Everybody could have one of those one day.
Does Google now know everything I do and everywhere I go? Because, let's face it, we like you guys, but you're from Google.
It may be true that 10 to 20-year-olds don't want to wear a watch on their wrist, but you can be sure that they'll be far more interested in wearing an electronic tattoo, if only to piss off their parents.
Forget mobile phones. Your children and grandchildren may well want an implant instead.
You know, when we check out at the grocery store, we'll be swiping our own arm over the scanner, and that will be something we feel we can't live without.
It would be such a disadvantage to not have the implant that it essentially becomes not optional.
Anyone who takes the mark is immediately thrown into the lake of fire. There's no grace, there's no mercy. It's just, you've got the mark, bam, you're in a lake of fire. Not my words, those are the words of Yeshua, and those are in the book of Revelation.
There's going to be one decision you'll have if you're left here. If you're faced with the decision to take a mark that's talked in Revelation 13, I think, Revelation 13, 17, the mark of the beast, in your right arm, right hand, or your forehead. If you make the decision to take it, it will be the last decision you will ever be in control of. If you take the mark and you say, I'll take the mark of the beast, you will never have control over another decision. You'll never be able to cut it out. You won't be able to chisel it out, cut your arm off, say, I figured a way I'd get around it. No.
It's torture every single day.
And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name.
It's torture every single day. It's torture every single day. It's torture every single day.
Well, there's a new technology to help people lose weight. It's a device that makes your stomach think it's full, and it might not even have any weird side effects. But there is a catch. Part of it might be embedded inside your body.
Swiss scientists say they may have found a way to help people lose weight by implanting a computer chip into their arms. Researchers are developing the device, which can scan the blood for fat and other things. When an obese person eats too much, it will release hormones that suppress hunger.
This is a developmental system made by MC10, and it has an antenna and some sensors embedded in it. And what we plan to do is work with them to advance a tattoo that could be used for authentication. A tattoo that could be used for authentication. It's really true. So what this means is that becomes my first superpower. I really want this superpower. It means that my arms are like wires, my hands are like alligator clips. When I touch my phone, my computer, my door, my car, I'm authenticated in. First superpower. Like, I want that.
Now, we've heard before of chips being implanted in the body, but here at Reading University, they're looking at something else. What happens when one of those chips gets a computer virus? Well, here's Dr. Mark Gasser.
But this technology has really developed over the last 5 or 10 years. And really, now we should consider these devices to be more like little computers. They can store information, manipulate information, do simple computations. So when we're implanting this type of device, really we're implanting it like a miniature computer. If we look at these types of applications of implantable technology, there are benefits, but there are also risks associated with that.
So we're looking at a future where you could have some advanced medical device inside you, and that could be infected by some other chip inside you.
Yeah, that's right. That's quite possible. And equally, someone who's carrying an infected medical device could feasibly infect someone else.
So we've got a future where we could all become one sort of great big walking computer infected with a virus.
That's quite possible.
In your right arm, right hand, or your forehead. If you make the decision to take it, it will be the last decision you will ever be in control of.
It says, and we all get this one, that anyone who takes this mark will not be able to buy, sell, or trade. That's an easy one, right? But then we find out that anyone who takes this mark, whatever this thing is, grievous sores will appear over the body. But here's the deal. It says that in those days, the days of the mark, men and women will seek death and not find it.
Dave, we have stuff that even the Mossad doesn't know we have. And he specifically mentioned them. He goes, they know pretty much everything we do. They don't know. We have stuff that can literally change a person's DNA. We have stuff that can turn them into zombie-acting characters. And he said, watch this drill that we do in 2 weeks. And it was the October 31st, 2012 drill in San Diego. And I actually have this on one of my stories, where people were dressed up with makeup artists to act like zombies, and they were being shot down in a simulation. And it was a FEMA DHS civil control drill in San Diego, and they reported it on the San Diego TV stations, and they made a joke out of it because it was Halloween and zombies and all this stuff. But
I remember that.
He said, we have the ability to make people behave this way. And he said, and we use the chemtrails, nanotechnology. He said, it's all here.
So even from a Christian perspective, obviously, we wouldn't want to get the mark because, well, according to the Bible, your eternity depends on whether you take the mark or not.
But with the technologies that we're seeing, the RFID, people willingly getting implanted, and a push even in some places for maybe some forced implants very soon, I do think that that is right around the corner, brother. We could very well be on the horizon of that. And you know, Darren, when we compare this to Scripture and we look and see, you know, particularly Revelation 13, talking about that the whole world will have this system, and that you will have it to be able to buy and sell. This system, this RFID system, is the first technology that we have seen that provides that ability. Now, again, I'm not saying dogmatically this is that, but it certainly has the ability to become that very quickly. But think about this also, Darren, when we go back to Scripture and it talks about it by their right hand or on their foreheads. You know, obviously John, who saw this vision, lived over 2,000 years ago, and he was using the best language he had to describe what he was being shown.
Sure.
So, listen, the forehead, the biometric ID, that could be as simple as a retina scan. I mean, just common sense would tell us that when this time comes, when we see something mandated where they are trying to mark every person in the whole world, whether that be for tracking or for buying or selling or whatever it is, it's not just going to be Christians, people like myself who are familiar with the word, that say, wait a minute, we know what this is. There's going to be people out there who just common sense, who may give no regard to the Bible at all, that say, this is crazy. There's no way I'm going to participate in this. So yeah, absolutely. I think that we'll see both. And you know, the Scripture is very clear that Christians are going to be submitted to this at some point. We are going to have to make this decision.
A tattoo that could be used for authentication.
It's torture every single day.
This is the testing of Sabine. Sabine came up positive in her right TMJ area.
Nee, veränder du mal deinen Arm überhaupt nicht, Lars. Geh mal jetzt wieder weg. Nichts verändern, Lars. Zurück.
Sabine also tested positive on her back at the left shoulder area.
Jetzt wieder weg. Wieder zurück. Noch näher ran. Ja, das ist doch ziemlich eindeutig. Wieder weg.
The following are victims of domestic terrorism who came up positive on radio frequency scans on our tour through Chicago, Illinois. Our first victim is Angela. Angela came up positive on our left temporal area. Our next victim is Sandrea. Sandrea came up positive in her right temporal region.
Positive RF on the right temporal region.
In addition, she came up positive on her right shoulder for emission of radio frequency.
Positive RF on the right shoulder.
Our next victim is Mike. His torture began at approximately age 19.
Alright, let me just zoom in on it.
He came up positive in his right temporal region.
Here we go. Okay.
Mike also came up positive in his left temporal area.
We ended our European testing tour in Hamburg in northern Germany. In Hamburg, this young man came up positive in his left GMJ area.
Ja, wieder rangehen. Ja, wieder weggehen. Wieder rangehen. Das ist schon eindeutig. Und dann bist du wieder weg davon. Ran. Ja, wieder Signal. Weg davon.
As we continued our testing across the United States, our next stop was Kenosha, Wisconsin. In Kenosha, Wisconsin, we had several people come up positive. Our first victim is Debbie. Debbie had complained of being a victim of domestic terrorism for many years. She suffered from... Debbie came up positive for radio frequency transmission in our preliminary testing near her right flank area. Our next victim is Lisa. Lisa, just as Debbie, has been complaining of being tortured for many years. Lisa came up positive near her left temporal region, just above her ear, and she came up positive near her right temporal area.
It's torture every single day.
Thank you, ma'am. Does anyone else wish to speak to the committee on this piece, this legislation? Oh, pardon me. Yes, ma'am. Give us your name and who you represent, please,
Okay,
ma'am.
my name is Kathleen Gary, and I'm a resident of DeKalb County, and I'm also one of the people in Georgia who has a microchip. And I've been talking to the different legislators and trying to get help in trying to outlaw this the implants. I want to speak particularly on the medical issue of the microchip that she mentioned. And I just got a few things. Microchips, they infringe on issues that are fundamental to our very existence. That our rights to privacy, our rights to body integrity, the right to say no to foreign objects being put in our bodies, specifically the right to refuse microchips being put in our bodies by the government, or anyone else, the right not to be tortured in our homes by these microchips being scanned by electronic devices that is happening, and to activate these microchips, the right to work without being tortured by co-workers who are activating these microchips by using their cell phones and other electronic devices, the right to just live, work, worship, attend schools, attend church services without being further torture from these microchips. It's actually torture. It's just not just a little implant that you put in. You're actually tortured by these microchips. When they are scanned, they cause the body all kind of problems. Microchips are like little beepers. And just imagine, if you will, having a beeper in your rectum, a genital area, and the most sensitive area of your body, and your beeper number is displayed on billboards throughout the city, all done without your permission, with an award available for each caller. Hundreds of people calling you, blowing up your beeper, vibrating it in your flesh, invading your privacy rights to your own body. You're followed and tortured everywhere you go. You travel all over town trying to get somebody to help you get it out, and but instead, you feel the shocking pains from the tip of your spine to the bottom of your feet. It's like a grounding effect. Blurred vision, headaches, stomach pains, cramps, muscle spasm, uncontrolled blood pressure issues on 2 or 3 blood pressure pills, fatigue, stinging and burning skin, loss of concentration, ringing in your ears, heat sensation to the skin from the scanning devices, frictions of the vibrations that's going on with somebody calling and dialing, and this thing is working constantly in your flesh. It's torture every single day. And every time you try to find help, you go to doctors, and their hands are tied from giving you the proper medical treatment that you need and deserve.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we got a question from one of the committee members. Ms. Oliver, is it yours? No. Who was it? So on the end? Mr. Weldon? Thank you.
Ma'am, did you say you have a microchip?
Yes, I do. And this microchip is put in my vaginal and rectum area. And I have been dealing with rape and sexual assault with them trying to take it out. When you try to make people accountable for what they have done to you, then they go to any extremes in trying to get it removed. And these are the issues that anyone, not just me, but any person who want to make people accountable for the implant that they put in them, they will deal with all kind of harassment, all kind of torture as a result of you speaking up about it.
Let me get him going. Do you want to ask me further? Anything further from any members of the committee? Ms. Garvey? Is it Ms. Garvey? Is that right? Did I have her name right? Gary? Ms. Gary, is it?
Yeah, Ms. Gary.
Excuse me. Okay. Sorry, Ms. Gary.
And that one other thing, you mentioned, gentlemen, you mentioned about the implant and being put in criminals. I feel like our right to, this deals with our right to our body integrity. This is a God-given right. When we are born, we are naked. We only have our bodies.
Let me ask, hold your comments, we can get some questions to you.
Okay.
Mr. Maddox?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I may have just missed it. I was just curious. You're saying this was an involuntary implant?
Involuntary, yes. I am in the U.S. Appeal Court right now. This case has been going on for the last 8 years, and we're trying to get some help in trying to get this outlawed and get some justice in that. I feel like Senate Bill 235 is on the right side of justice. This is an issue that is ongoing.
Let me ask you, hold your comments, we'll get the questions done.
Okay.
Anything further, Mr. Maddox?
That's all.
All right. Anything further from the committee? Let me ask Ms. Gary this. Who implanted this in you?
I feel like mine is...
You don't know who did it?
Yes. I'm one of the federal government research with this microchip.
And who in the federal government is implanted you?
And this is the Department of Defense.
All right.
And this is the court case that is pending before the U.S. Appeal Court.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wish to address the committee that hasn't had a chance to speak? If not, we will close all public input. Yes, ma'am. You'll have to come around and let you take a seat here.
I'm
Yes,
Margene Burt, Alpharetta, Georgia. I have several people from an organization up there that's standing here. They might like to raise their hands that are opposed to it.
Put your hand, put the mic down where they can hear you a little better now.
I said that there's several other people that are with me here today that might like to raise their hands that are opposed.
From a desk or even the couch. From a desk or the couch. Joy from a desk or a couch.
Check this out, and I hope you have a good day. Okay, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the article I was telling you about. It comes from the trenches, worldreport.com. And the article I was telling you about is down here, and here it is. It says, Pastor receives Obamacare RFID chip and boasts to his congregation. John MacArthur declares you can be saved after you receive the mark. Outrage. Now, this comes from December the 1st, 2013, Before It's News by Lisa Haven. We all knew it was coming. We just didn't know how soon. Pastors across America are being implanted with the Obamacare RFID chip, aka Mark of the Beast, and promoting it to their congregations. He, the Antichrist, causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. This comes from Revelations 13, verses 16 through 17. Verichip, now known as positive ID, meets all the criteria that would give the Antichrist the ability to mark every human being and prevent them from buying or selling anything. Verichip is a RFID microchip that can be inserted into human flesh. Today, it is used to microchip people who have medical conditions and will be used under Obamacare. It is the same technology used to tag animals to help reunite a pet with its owner. In October of 2004, it was declared by the Food and Drug Administration. According to the Verichip website, RFID solutions are currently in use in over 5,000 installations worldwide, including healthcare, security, government, industrial markets, and more. The Bible declares anyone receiving this mark of the beast will be eternally damned. If anyone worships the beast and his image and receives his mark on his forehead or on his hand, he himself shall also drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out full strength into the cup of his indignation. He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascends forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name. This comes from Revelations 14, 9 through 11. It looks like 9 through 1 there. And to sum up the article, it says, John MacArthur, on the other hand, is leading Christians astray, implying you can be saved once you become implanted with the mark. And you can see here's a video. As I spoke of before, there are videos that are embedded in this article that once I leave you the link for it, you can look at these videos at length. And then it goes on to requote Revelations 14, 9 through 11 once again. And here we go. We're going to end up, and it says, according to the Bible, anyone who receives the mark will drink the wrath of God and be tormented forever. It doesn't say temporarily tormented. It says tormented forever. Therefore, if you receive the mark of the beast, there are no second chances. I think that sums it up pretty well.
It's torture every single day.
From a desk
or the couch.
From a desk or the couch or wherever you like, as long as you got internet.